This year I am being very intentional to stop buying stuff that isn't essential and instead try to make or mend what we already have and forage a lot more. And if you're like me and you want to reduce your consumption, you want to just simplify things, this is one really simple way that you can do that. All you need for this is fabric, and I'm using an old cotton t-shirt that we had on hand that just wasn't being worn, and you need beeswax. These wraps would make a great handmade gift for friends or family. I have a friend whose birthday is in late January, and I'm planning to give her a set of 3 of these wraps in different sizes and just tied with twine. If you're looking for other handmade gift ideas, I've made a free downloadable pamphlet that has a whole selection of really simple handmade gift ideas that you can make using things that you find outside or that you already probably have at home. So if you're interested in that, there's a link to that free pamphlet in the description below. So that's just a very rough measurement obviously, but I'm just leaving a bit of space here so it can fold the wrap over the bowl when it's being used. And then I'll cut along here and above the top. I'm just gonna estimate, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to cut off the bottom hem as well of this piece of fabric. So I've cut off the hem and now it's just a square of fabric. We have large, small, medium. Now I'm going to cover them with the beeswax to make them into the wraps. So to make the beeswax, there are a few different methods that I've seen online. You can sprinkle some of the pellets on the fabric and then put it on parchment paper on a baking tray and into a very low heated oven for about 20 minutes. I tried to make wraps using that method and I found that it just took quite a long time. I'm going to be trying a different method today, which is to just use a double boiler to melt beeswax and then use a paintbrush or a brush of some kind to spread the beeswax over the fabric and then just letting it cool. So I'm just going to put in some beeswax pellets into that glass jar and then put the glass jar straight into a small saucepan and simmer water in the saucepan until the beeswax is completely melted. With these wraps, I'm using only beeswax because it's what I have. There are recipes online that I've seen where you use beeswax with pine resin. And the reason that you do that is because pine resin is sticky. So when you combine it with the beeswax, it makes the beeswax wraps more sticky and able to hold the edge of the wrap down around the bowl. These wraps, when you make them only with beeswax, probably aren't going to be as sticky. What I'll end up doing is using a rubber band to keep the wrap down. My goal is to reduce my consumption, so I'm trying to use what I have on hand instead of buying more stuff to make this with. So I could easily go to the supermarket and buy plastic wrap, or I could go on Amazon and buy pine resin, probably. I don't have either of those, and I do have beeswax and rubber bands, so that's what I'm using with these wraps today. I actually was about to buy pine resin online when I saw that most recipes called for that. Why not just order it and then have these wraps be stickier and not have to use rubber bands? I'm trying to make a conscious effort this year to just buy less. While it might be a little bit less convenient, because I'm approaching it with the goal of buying less, I'm okay with a little bit of inconvenience in this case. So my beeswax is melting on the stove, and I've laid out the parchment paper with one piece of fabric, and once the beeswax is all melted, I'll use a paintbrush to add the beeswax to this wrap. Okay, so this isn't gonna work, I don't think. It's just not soaking through to the other side. As you can see, it did a little bit on that one section, but it's not for the rest, and I'm using a lot of beeswax, which I don't want to keep doing. So what I'm going to do is put this wrap as it is into the oven on a very low heat. I think I'll use probably like 100 degrees Celsius. Check the blog post though to double check that temperature. I'm going to kind of experiment, and then I'm going to sprinkle the beeswax pellets on top of the other pieces and then melt those in the oven as well, and hopefully that will work a bit better. So what I ended up doing was sprinkling the beeswax over the fabric and then putting it into the oven for about 20 minutes on about 101 degrees Celsius. And it worked a lot better. You can see the beeswax saturated both sides. And so I'm just gonna peel them off this paper and then fold them up to store. So that's what mine are looking like. I have read that the more you use them, the softer they get. Mine are a bit stiff right now, but when I use them a bit more, they'll get nice and pliable. I think they're really beautiful. I like the raw edges. I like how you can see white on the tip of the fabric, and then it is this deep beeswax yellow in the main part of the fabric. I think it's really beautiful. So I hope you enjoy making these. Let me know if you do in the comments below. Don't forget to download that free pamphlet that's linked in the description. It has lots of simple ideas that I have tried and tested and know work great. And if you have any other really simple handmade gift ideas, I'd like to hear about them. I'm always trying to, I have a running list on my phone of other ideas that I can make for friends and family for their birthdays or holidays, and I'd like to add to that. So if you have any good ideas, make sure to leave them in the comments below. But until next time, thank you for stopping by, and I'll speak to you in the next Documenting Simple Living video.